Hello there and welcome to Sunrise Nostalgia. This will be the first video on this channel, so let me give a little bit of an introduction first. This channel is going to be all about nostalgic gaming content. I have a lot of things about retro gaming that I really love and I want to share it with you guys, as well as you guys to share something with me. So I'd like to make a channel and a small community about retro gaming, and we can talk about all things nostalgic content, video essays, our favorite games, things that we grew up with, and things that we want to share with other people. So I now present to you my first video on Sunrise Nostalgia, which is about the GB operator. You might have already heard about this thing before. It is not super new and it's made rounds on YouTube before, but it's pretty cool. I got it recently and I wanted to talk about it because it's something that I've been using a lot, but not necessarily for the exact reason you might think. What this device does is it allows you to play your Game Boy games through your cartridge onto your computer. Essentially what it's doing is it's using an emulator to emulate the game onto your computer by making like a temporary copy inside the software. And then you're able to run it through your Mac, as like I am, or you can run it through a PC as well through USB-C. I think some of the coolest things about this device are not just that I'm able to play Game Boy games on my computer, because it's not necessarily new, but that I can use my cartridge to do so. And the best thing is I can upload the save data after I'm done into the cartridge, and it's as if I was playing on my Game Boy. I don't have a custom modded Game Boy and I don't have an analog pocket yet. So for now, when I'm playing on my Game Boy, it's incredibly hard to see, it's really dark, and it's a fun experience overall, but it's not really too great when you can't see the screen as well as you remembered that you used to be able to. I think I remember seeing the screen a lot better than I can these days on my Game Boy Advance, and I don't know, it's hard to play in anything other than direct light onto the screen. But if you're like me, you probably don't enjoy emulators all that much and ROMs and things like that. You kind of want to play with your cartridges. That's the way that I enjoy retro gaming. I'm not saying that you have to enjoy it that way, but that's the way that I like to enjoy it. And it's fun for me to go out shopping, find the game in box, return home, unbox it, check it out, play it the way that it's supposed to be played. That's what's really fun for me, and I really enjoy that whole side of it still. It reminds me of when I was a kid and I would go to these game stores like Game Crazy or Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, and pick up the actual game, bring it home and play it all before everything became digital and whatnot. However, another cool thing is not just uploading and downloading save data, which means you could have multiple save files for a game that you typically wouldn't have been able to do so. Something that I think is super cool, especially for people who do want to use emulators on your phone or on some other device, you can copy the ROM file from the cartridge and make your own ROM and put it on your own emulation device. And that way everything's legit, it's yours, you can feel like it's really the cartridge that you're playing. And then back and forth, you can move the SATA data from that emulator onto the cartridge and back and forth. I have done so with Mega Man Battle Network, and it's been really cool. I have a Retroid Pocket 2 Plus that I put together, and being able to move my save data back and forth off of the cartridge onto that so that I can actually have a lit up screen and many other games to play while I would do that with my N64 games as well, has been pretty nice. So for that, I really enjoy it. The GB operator doesn't just run the games, download the ROM, upload and download the save data, which is awesome, but it also has some settings that you can tweak, and while I pretty much leave the settings alone, there are different options that you can select, including a huge variety of different types of coloring for the screens and things like that. I typically don't touch it, but the best thing that you can do with this is remap your controller, because I really don't know what they were thinking with the key mapping on the keyboard. It doesn't allow you to remap the keyboard. I don't know what's up with that. It says that there will be an update coming that will allow it to remap the keyboard. I feel like that's something that it should have shipped with. That's just my opinion on that one, but it does allow you to use an external controller, and I couldn't get my Bluetooth controller to connect to my Mac today, my PS5 controller, but I was able to connect it to a USB-C and plug it in and bind all the controls, because again, the A and B button were flipped. Like A was X and B was circle, which doesn't, like, it's in the same row, so why is that natively like that? But I guess maybe they figured that most people would want to use an external controller anyway, so they just kind of said whatever with it maybe. But it is cool because I was able to rebind the controls very easily and just get in and start playing Mega Man as soon as possible. It's really cool. I also really enjoy the design of the GB operator. If it weren't for me worrying about a little bit of dust getting inside and me never being able to get that dust out, I would actually probably leave this on my desk at all times. It looks great. It has this little light inside of it. It displays the game's artwork because the whole thing is this in an acrylic casing. I really like it. It's cool. It's got also like a rubber pad on the bottom too, so it doesn't move around very easily. I really like it. I think it works kind of as like a little piece of art, something cool to display that I like to have on my desk. But the other thing that really pushed me over from, that's kind of cool, kind of think I want one, to I need that, was this. I got the Game Boy Pocket camera recently, and I love this thing. I've been taking it around, shooting it all over the place. I recently filmed a vlog in Akihabara where I went out, shot pictures on it, and that was a really fun experience, and I like shooting different things. It kind of puts this whole new spin and challenge on photography because it's this really old Game Boy camera and it's a toy camera, but it's also like, I think it's like a megapixel, maybe 2, and it makes you think in a new way for photography. I'm a photographer, if you couldn't tell by the cool Kodak hat. Thank you, Garrett. So inviting this new camera into my life has kind of like re-sparked my like love and passion for going out and shooting street photography, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for more of this. You will see more of this. What this does, however, is it allows me to easily, in seconds, take all the photos off of the Game Boy camera and delete all the photos on the Game Boy camera. Now, it's really cool because that happens immediately. It's so fast. It will dump onto your computer and then it will delete everything just instantly. And I love that because doing so inside of this is kind of a pain. You have to go one by one, up to 30 photos, deleting each photo once you're done. And I was hooking it up to my GameCube and capturing it that way through a screenshot using OBS, but it kind of required me to set all the GameCube stuff up, get in there, screenshot each one. It was time consuming, and personally, I don't think it was the best way to go about capturing the picture. It was always this sepia tone. And this drops them onto your computer in black and white in their original file size, which is super tiny, but it's not bad. I can still upload to Instagram and it looks cool, and I'd rather have it be black and white and me add the sepia tone or something like that to it than it to come in sepia. So for that alone, for this alone, I would buy this thing again. For just this, I would buy it again. Mainly, I was so excited about the Game Boy Pocket camera, and I was excited that I could make my own ROMs from Game Boy games because that's how I prefer to get my ROMs for my emulators. And the using of the save data is perfect. That is amazing. I think I paid $60 for it, so it wasn't necessarily cheap, but it wasn't necessarily horribly expensive. There was another card out there that I was looking at that actually is no longer being sold anymore, so I think this one not only has a case on it, which I like, it also adds a couple other features like being able to play the games and stuff like that, and the Game Boy Pocket camera, which is really, I think I would have paid $100 to be able to do that. That's nice, I like that. Anyway, I just wanted to make the first video about the GB operator because it is how I'm playing Game Boy games today, how I'm managing save files, and how I am being able to play Game Boy games on my Retroid Pocket Plus 2. And I'm so excited because one day I'm gonna get that analog pocket and I'll be able to share that with you guys as well and my thoughts on that. Quick question, if you had it, should you get it? Is that why you're watching this video? I think if you have the 60 plus 65, maybe $60 to purchase this device, I say go for it. I don't think that you're gonna regret it, especially if you're doing like things that I'm doing and you wanna play on your Retroid Pocket 2 and you wanna use save files back and forth. I think you are not going to regret getting this device. The positives are all the things that I mentioned before. The negatives, I mentioned a couple of them. One thing was when deleting pictures on here, it actually just wiped the whole data. And I had something on there because this is used. It had the previous person's like name on there, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think they had created some sort of like photos for like when you lose like a game or your memory card is full. They had added some stuff of theirs in there, and I just thought it was funny to have the original data in there, but it's all gone now. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I wish it warned me about it, but even if it did, I would have just erased it anyway because I don't need that. It just was interesting to have it. The other downside to this thing is some of these options added kind of a weird color. It said that it would correct it to the Game Boy Advance color, and that was not the Game Boy Advance color. I know what this game looks like. I play it on the Switch, I play it on the Game Boy, I played it on Game Boy SP. I know what the game's color looks like. That is not what it looks like. So that I think could be tuned a little bit. It didn't really work right. I also don't know a whole lot about all the different kind of color combinations that you can use on the Game Boy screens. However, a cool update that they could do is just maybe add in what that would look like a little like picture as you're selecting all the different items on what, say, one screenshot of a game would look like under each one of those color profiles. It's cool, but SP, whatever it said, doesn't mean much to me. I don't know what that's going to do. Anyway, the GB operator by Epilogue is really cool. I do recommend it. If you have the money to purchase it and you don't mind spending it on something like this and you want to use your save data elsewhere off of the cartridge, or you want to create your own ROMs, or like me, you have a Game Boy Pocket camera and you want an easier way to dump the photos than screenshotting one by one, I definitely think it's worth it. I really like the device. I like how it looks. I like pretty much everything about it, other than some of the wonky settings where the colors are a little bit weird. I just don't use them. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the GB operator. Let me know what you thought about this video, and if you either have one or are interested in one, let me know. What games are you most excited to play on the GB operator? Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, which one? Which one do you want to do? Pokemon? Mega Man? Let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the future. Thank you for watching Sunrise Nostalgia. See you next time.